All righty. Are we good? Are we actually streaming? I need to check. Are we good? Okay, cool. All right. Didn't know if my voice was actually working or not. Hello, everybody. Hopefully, okay. I don't know why it's like giving me a black screen here. Let me refresh my my studio feed here. Connect your streaming software to go live. Oh, thank God. Okay. Almost had a panic attack. I was like, what do you mean start streaming to go live? I am streaming. Where am I streaming to? But we're here. We're live. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope you all are doing well and you are surviving the weather out there, wherever you're at in the world. I'm assuming weather is happening to you. And yeah, we published it's the royal we. I published a very big video today. It's almost an hour long. It's about the 4 major dating apps, and that was an insane amount of work, and I hope it was worth it. I suffered for all of you. I mean, kinky, so maybe not as bad as it would have been otherwise, but I am going to celebrate tonight by deleting all of the apps off of my phone. Going to finally figure out how to deactivate the accounts, delete the apps I'm not using anymore, and move on with my life, and I'm so excited. But I hope you all are doing well. Yes, I did not forget the Bandita camera. She is, look at that little face. She's so snoozy. She's so snoozy. She has recently learned, and I love this, and I didn't try to teach her this. This is like natural shaping, like behavior stuff. She has one toy that she kind of plays with. It's the only one that I've ever gotten for her that she will ever even touch. And it's the first one I ever got her, and actually came in a adoption day like gift bag. Because the day that I got her, I took her to a dog store and I said, oh, I just got her, like, blah, blah. And they gave me like an adoption day, like little gift basket with stuff in it. And she has this big cupcake. It's a big fluffy cupcake. It's like the size of her head. Yeah, I'm talking about you, sweetie. Hi. I know you were so snoozy and now you're looking at me. I'm talking about how smart you are. Because you're a smart girl. Yeah. And anyways, it has a squeaker in it. And she's the only dog I've ever had that understands that you can keep a toy for longer if you don't destroy it. Like, she doesn't ever try to tear it up or do anything with it. But she has learned that if she presses on it with her paw and makes it squeak, then she will get my attention. Like, I've been like, because this video was so big and there was like a sponsor deal and everything with it, I've been like glued to my computer for like a couple of days. And if she wants my attention and she can't, like, she goes over here and if she goes over here, she'll go and she'll like just press her paw like a button. she's pressing the like service bell at like a dry cleaners. And she's like figured it out. And I don't know how she would have even considered doing that, but it works and it's really funny. Anyways, that's my cute dog story for today. Because I know we could all use some, I don't know, just some doggy palate cleansing maybe. What apps? So I used OkCupid, though I didn't use the actual app version for that. I'm desktop only for OkCupid. Hinge, Bumble, and Tinder, and I will immediately be deleting Tinder. Hinge I will probably keep, and Bumble I'm like, maybe like I'll just browse on it for like the weekend and just like double check to like make sure 100% I want to delete it, because I feel like maybe if I haven't been on it for a really long time, maybe it's worth just revisiting just to give it another chance, because I haven't looked at it at all in like months. I've always been more partial to bigger dogs personally, but Pomeranians are so stinking cute. I think Pomeranians are the perfect dog for people of any size or any gender. I think, well, depends on your lifestyle, honestly. I definitely know people that are like big outdoorsy people. They like run marathons, they bike ride everywhere, and they like would benefit from a very active dog, like a husky or like a cattle dog or something, especially because she's like, especially even for a Pomeranian, she's very much more of a couch potato. She's like, okay, she had lots of babies and she's in her retirement era, okay? And she's a senior girl. She is allowed to be a couch potato, first of all. She's earned it. She's had a hard life, okay? But Pomeranians can also be very, like, zany and spinny and full of energy. It just sort of depends on the dog. But I love them. They're great. All right, but before we get into just me rambling about my dog for like 20 minutes, which is always a threat. It's always a threat. I'm threatening you all with ranting about my dog, who is very adorable and cute and that I love so much. But before I get into that, I will stop very briefly and we will do our usual intro. So, hi, hello, my name is Evie Lupine, and here every Friday I stream for about 2 hours. And we have a super chat from Twixie. I actually read that out $5 before I get into it.
So for the first time, I have a BDSM update from a cruise. I met a dome from Vancouver in a solo group and we clicked instantly. Last night of the cruise was capped with a date to the ship's steakhouse where she ordered my food for me.
Yeah, I know. It's a big story. I met a Dom from Vancouver in the solo group and we clicked instantly. Last night of the cruise was capped with a date to the ship's steakhouse where she ordered my food for me. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. There is actually I'm assuming you're talking about Vancouver, Canada. Vancouver, Canada, there is for fetish, I think it's fetish weekend. There is a big cruise that happens in the bay around Vancouver, and I've heard it's really fun. I like it. It's like a big party ship type situation, but like not in a Fresh and Fit or Andrew Tate party cruise kind of way, not a Dennis from Always Sunny in Philadelphia kind of way, hopefully. It's like more of a like fancy, from what I understand, having not been to it, it's more of like a fancy fetish dress up cruise thing. So not surprising at all that somebody from Vancouver might have been on a cruise, especially like to get away from the weather. But that's so awesome. You hit it off with somebody. That's great. Thank you for sharing. That is so exciting. And that is a great, like, first kinky date night activity. Cause it's kink. It's technically in public, but like, who's going to know? And it's not that high risk, right? Like a steakhouse, there's only so many options, right? There's, steak, maybe a lobster, maybe a salad option or two. And that actually would be, imagine you go to a fancy steakhouse and the only thing you order for your submissive is like the house salad while you eat like a full like filet mignon with like bacon or whatever it is that people get. I don't know what's the premium thing at a steakhouse? Is it surf and turf? Is it like a lobster tail and like I don't know what steak cut is the fanciest. That would be really funny though. Just like keep ordering the submissive wine while like you only let them eat a house salad. I don't know why I'm giving you all like this idea. This is definitely like CNC, like, ooh, they're gonna get your submissive drunk, only let them eat a salad. Like, I need to rein it in for public consumption. Okay, I just gotta calibrate. But you know what? If that sounds fun to you, negotiate for it, and maybe a house salad and a bottle of wine will be in your future. Alrighty. So, as I was saying before I was so pleasantly interrupted, this is our weekly live stream here on Fridays. We stream for about 2 hours between 6 and 8 p.m. Pacific time, and we do a little BDSM Q&A. We talk about all things related to kink, BDSM, as well as things like relationships, polyamory, queer issues, stuff happening in the public discourse, pop culture news, like Taylor Swift not winning any Grammys this year. Although it was a very stacked setup this year. I don't know. I was thinking of the word for it. Like there was like Billie Eilish's new album is fantastic. Love it. But then like Chappell Roan came in and just burst onto the scene. And then Sabrina Carpenter. Oh my God. A vision. Lovely. Love her. She's my favorite pop star. Personality wise, Sabrina Carpenter is my favorite. I don't love pop music, but I do listen to it, and I love Sabrina Carpenter, and I love Billie Eilish, and they're my favorites. Just in case if there's ever like a trivia question that comes up, and you're like, what does Evie Lupine listen to pop music? Now you know. Now you know. But in any case, that is what we do here. And then I go in order of questions coming in the chat, unless you use a super chat like Twixie did earlier. Then it'll highlight it up here on the stream. And then I will read it right away as soon as I finish with whatever question I'm on. And then we just have a fun time. We chit chat. We have a pretty nice little group here. So usually we get some audience participation, people sharing their own thoughts, their own stories, because I am not an expert. I don't know everything about everything. I don't know everything from every single perspective. I can only speak from mine. And oftentimes it's really helpful to hear from people that have different life experiences, that are coming into certain questions with just a different answer, because, you know, I'm not like a cishet male dom. I don't like live in Europe. Those kind of things, right? You know, I'm not 60 years old. So I just have different life experience, is what I'm trying to say. And if you want to participate in the chat, just be respectful to the mods, or be respectful to me. And you can also, I highly recommend, checking out the FAQ down below. We also have a set of rules down there that are really simple. Just basically be respectful, don't spam the chat. And that's basically what y'all need to know. I don't give advice about like how to do blood play or breath play just over a YouTube live stream if for some reason you wanted to know about that. And I have the right to refuse to answer any question if I don't feel like it. So that's basically what y'all need to know. That is the 411, and we will go ahead and get into it. All right, so Sabrina's music is the most fun I've had with super mainstream music in a while, so I'm with you. Yeah. Oh, and her music videos are great, and like her interviews are great. Like she's like very campy, and like I don't know how to describe it. She's like very like campy, but also she's like kind of got this like dark sense of humor in the approach to things that I like sort of vibe with. Like a surprising amount of her music videos involve like blood, like a lot of blood, and like it's just very funny to me. And I don't know. I am here for the Sabrina Carpenter era. I am with you. Yeah, she's basking in the darkness, staring at me, as she is wont to do. I followed her when she was just a kid on YouTube. Seeing her now makes me feel old. Oh, was Sabrina Carpenter like a YouTuber? Wait, I didn't know that lore. We've moved on from people being Disney Channel kids to being fucking YouTubers. That's crazy. Quakerstown, Pennsylvania. That's definitely a place. All right. Oh, she was homeschooled. Okay, that explains a lot, actually. I didn't know that either. Oh, yeah, she began posting YouTube videos of herself singing Christina Aguilera and Adele songs. Oh, the Adele songs make sense, because they like, not a singer, this is a thing that I've heard, but the end voice that you have as an adult, like especially your singing voice, is somewhat based on who you were singing to and what you were singing to as you were still developing. So if you listen to like, and you sing to like Adele versus Amy Winehouse, like your vocals are possibly going to develop differently, especially if you're not otherwise getting like other vocal training. So that makes sense, because she just have a little bit of like, there's something in her voice that does remind me of those two. So that makes sense. In 2009, she placed third in a singing contest, The Next Miley Cyrus Project, run by Miley Cyrus. I don't remember that happening at all. Oh, she actually, no, wait, she was on Disney Channel. Wait, what? She was on a show called Girl Meets World. Yeah, I've been so out of the loop on that show that I had no idea. Didn't know that was a thing. But cool. Love that for you. Okay, I'm not going down the Sabrina Carpenter hole any farther than I already have. But she's good. If you like music, you check it out, you know? Pennsylvania is beautiful. I drove through it once, very grand, and it was gray and overcast that day. What I mostly remember about Pennsylvania is the part that I drove through is very mountainous, and there were a lot of porcupines. I don't know if that's like a normal thing or we just like the migration period for porcupines, but we saw like 5 porcupines in like 30 minutes. It was a lot. It was like, are they just like this? Is it like crows? Like, you just see them all the time everywhere here? Kind of funny. Yeah, apparently I do remember hearing the name Girl Meets World as like, I seen it advertised maybe somewhere. I didn't know it was her that was in it. Yes, it was like a spin-up. It was a spin-off follow-up series to Boy Meets World, which I also didn't watch, because apparently my adolescence and childhood years fell right in between the prime eras for Boy Meets World and for the new version. So didn't see either, have no point of reference. The only thing I know about Boy Meets World is that there's a girl in it named Topanga. And that stuck with me because the only thing I know about Topanga is Topanga Canyon. That's it. And I only know that from like I watching news stuff where they would talk about like something that's happening in Topanga Canyon. Like that's it. That's all I know. It was a belated spinoff. Mm-hmm. I know Quakerstown very well. I bought my first car there. Whoa, you were in the same town as Sabrina Carpenter. Think about that. Celebrity connection. I'm mostly excited about Sabrina Carpenter bringing back 60s sleepwear. That's my prediction for 2025. 60s sleepwear making a comeback. All right, we're going to be seeing it everywhere. The satin PJ sets, they're cute. Prepare for more tulle, more chiffon, more layers, more ruffles. Okay, people are going to be like, I want little kitten heel house shoes with little pom-poms on them, okay? Which will make it easier for me to be able to buy them, which is why I'm excited about it. Oh, one of the actresses in the later seasons went on to do porn. That was not what I was expecting to hear at all. I mean, it is the Disney Channel way. You either end up doing porn, or you burn out, or you have a music career for like 2 seconds. That's it. Okay, apparently they're just around. Apparently porcupines are just a thing. Yes, porcupines do migrate. Like coconuts, they migrate. I don't know if all of them migrate. I don't know if it's like a regional thing, but some of them do. Like you'll get them occasionally here, like very rarely you'll get a porcupine that like wanders this way because they're migrating. Ooh, not going to say exactly where I am, but here's a clue. Just felt an earthquake somewhere around a 2.5 to a 3. Oh, well, I hope you're safe. That's not like a big earthquake generally, but earthquakes make me super anxious. That's why I can't live in like California. And I would just be constantly like, there were even times when I was in like college, because like, you know, Cascadia subduction zone, where sometimes I like couldn't fall asleep at night for like an entire night because I was so convinced that like the earthquake could happen at any second. A world-ending catastrophic earthquake could happen right now. And I would just keep thinking that over and over again, and I couldn't fall asleep. And that is why medication and therapy exists. Just saying. If you ever have anxiety so bad that you literally can't sleep for an entire night, there are treatments for that. You don't have to just tough it out. Apparently there's like if you can just go to Google and you can go to recent earthquakes and you can scroll through, and there's been like dozens. They happen I didn't realize how frequently they happen. Guatemala, there was a 5.5 one that just happened out in the China Sea, off of the southern part of Japan. So apparently there's just tectonic activity taking place in the world. All right. Sabrina Carpenter earthquakes. We've got it all here on the EV Lupine live stream. Dressing gown, night slips, and kitten heel slippers never went out of style in my house. Yeah. They can be a little hard to find. I've tried to shop vintage for them like quite often, but it's hard to find ones that are in my size. The heels less so, but like night slips and gowns, they always end up being really baggy in the chest area, and that's not cute. You know, that's not a fun time. I hate Ariana Grande, but if her songs are slowed in reverb, I can get behind them. I don't understand the slowed and reverb thing. There's like 1 or 2 songs I've heard where it's legit better because of that, but I have never been like, ooh, I prefer this song over the original once I know the original. I hope this doesn't come off as rude, but how old are you? I've only subscribed to your channel very recently, so I can't long be doing YouTube. I've been doing YouTube for 9 years, or 8 years, I think, actually. And I'm 30 years old. I know. Either that means I'm older than you think or younger than you think, and it's like 50-50 on which way that goes. When I was like between I don't know, like 18 and 21, everyone thought that I was like 14. And then I don't know if that, I don't think that trend has generally continued. I don't have any delusions of grandeur about seeming like way younger than my age forever, but you know, it's, I've never really accurately been read for my actual age at any point. I feel like my energy is old. I feel like that's what people normally tell me, is that I have like, oh, you have like an old soul, is like what people will say. Yeah, Oklahoma has like mini earthquakes because of fracking. Like little teeny tiny ones, but it's because we're fucking up the ground there all the time. Because why not shoot pressurized water into the earth or whatever it is? I don't know exactly what happens during fracking. I think that's part of it. That's because you're breaking apart the like rock layers with like, anyways, I'm not somebody in the chat probably works at like a fracking company is like, this is exactly what fracking is and can explain it better than I could. But let's get into some questions, shall we? That's enough preamble, I think. Well done with the video. I'll ask what else can I do with a dating app besides I'm looking for true love, woo woo, or want a pork. Neither is appealing, but don't know what else is possible with it. I mean, like, I feel like I emphasized in the video that, like, I'm looking for long-term relationships, which is not necessarily the same thing as, like, I'm looking for true love. Actually, the thing that I have found, I don't think I said this in the video, regardless of what dating app you're on, the majority of profiles, and this is very age range dependent, I believe. I think if you're in your early 20s, if you're like 23 or so, you're probably not going to see this as much, but I definitely see it because now the majority of people that I see are between, 29 and like 37. And a lot of those people are people who are just getting back into dating after being in very long-term, serious adult relationships. When you're 23, that's like, that can happen. Like you have somebody who was in like a 5-year-long relationship, right? But it's different when you're like 37 and then in your 30s, you got into a super serious relationship for 5 years and you like bought a house together and everything. And then you like left and moved out. And now you're back into dating again. So as a result of that, there's a lot of people who are looking for like a casual relationship or looking for a fun time with like no commitments. And that doesn't necessarily mean just like want a bone. I like actually legitimately think, especially people that are like 30 plus, from what I've seen at least, a lot of the like, I'm not looking for commitment doesn't read as just, I want to fuck. It reads as like, I want to get out there and try like dating around without having commitment to a single person and just like not think about, super long-term relationship or marriage or anything. I just want to experience dating itself and like seeing how that goes. So you can definitely do that too. And I think the way to advertise that is just to be like really clear. And I am the kind of person who's very direct. Like I say what I'm looking for, and generally people appreciate that because I know what I want because I've been doing this for kind of a long time now. And I think it's different when you're monogamous and you date and you like, that's almost kind of like weird to me at this point to be like, oh, when you go into a relationship, you like don't use dating apps, you don't just like keep looking for people. That's okay. So like you could have somebody who hasn't like been on a dating app in like 5 or 6 years who now has to ask themselves, am I ready for a new relationship? What kind of relationship do I want? How do I communicate that to people? And they just don't have practice doing that because they haven't been doing it for half a decade and they're rusty. And I've always found a benefit to, like, I think people like try to mask stuff in humor. They try not to say anything that's too controversial. And like today when I was like double checking something for the video, I briefly opened, I think it was Bumble. And when I went on Bumble, like the first profile I saw was somebody who was talking about they're like my relaxing weekend, and it was like very normal and it wasn't bad. It was just like, oh, they like gardening and brunch and just like I read that and I feel my soul leaving my body, and not in a fun way. Like it almost reminds me of, if you've watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, there's a brief stint where Amy is dating this like really boring guy. And he's like perfectly nice. He's very polite. There's nothing otherwise like especially wrong with him. He's just like super fucking boring. And like I feel like that's the vibe I get sometimes, is to me, in my humble opinion, not for other people. Someone else's person is perfect, I'm sure, right? But to me, I read that and go, God, vanilla monogamous dating absolutely like sucks. Like what the like that's how if I ever have doubts about like, am I really that kinky?
And
am I like
donated $10.
as alternative as I think I am?
Any tips for surviving Valentine's Day?
Oh,
not in a relationship. Never have been. Trying to be fine with it. Okay.
Yeah. I should just have it like automatically mute my microphone when like a super chat is being read, so I don't do that. But yeah, I just like. To me, it just makes me want to like rip my fucking eyeballs out. Like it's so boring. And then I know, oh, I am kinky. I am weird for sure. Like I'm not just normal and pretending to be weird. I am actually weird. Got it. Cool. Any tips for surviving Valentine's Day? Oh shoot. I just cut off the rest of it. I'm assuming that's like probably, let me see if I can read that. Okay. I'm going to assume that I know the rest of that because I briefly saw it. So tips for surviving Valentine's Day. So when I have been single or not doing anything on Valentine's Day, I literally don't think about it at all. I just don't treat it like any different day of the week. And for me, it's easy because I'm always like, I don't have set hours, right? Because I work for myself. I do YouTube for a living. So like, I can just be like, oh, the 14th, oh, it's going to be like a filming day. And then just like my brain is so occupied by doing the filming that I don't even like think about it being a holiday, because it's just like, oh, normal Friday, normal Thursday, just doing my regular thing. Oh, no, you're all good. You're all good. That is, it is text to speech is great. It's just, I feel bad when I'm talking over something that somebody like paid to have read out loud. So you're totally cool. But I think for me, and this is generally my advice, like for if you're missing somebody or if you feel lonely, like find something to do with your time that you find like rewarding and occupying, especially that you maybe don't normally like make time for. Like if you really love, well, actually, I probably would not do anything in public, actually, just to be totally on the safe side. I wouldn't even go if there's like a cute little, if in your neighborhood there's like a cute little like Valentine's Day pop-up, if you feel like you can handle that, if you go like a cute little Valentine's Day pop-up or something where there's like, because I'm thinking of in Portland, there's like, there's a place that makes really good vegan croissants and they're doing a pop-up thing for Valentine's Day. So that's what I'm thinking about it. But they, like you can go to one of those and just like do a little brief little outing. But if that would be upsetting to you, because you're like, when it is Valentine's Day, even if maybe you're not actually really seeing more couples than you normally would, you're gonna notice it more because you're aware of it being this holiday. You're like, oh, they're holding hands. Oh, that's like two people sharing a car. That's, oh, look at all the people like eating in a restaurant together, and that can be really upsetting. So probably don't go in public. And I would like just have fun, staying at home, doing things that you enjoy but normally don't make time for, whether it's like marathoning a show or getting into something that you've been meaning to do, but like I'm weird, so I feel like my suggestions maybe don't work for other people. But I find organizing and cleaning stuff to be very rewarding. And sometimes I have really big cleaning projects I want to do that I normally wouldn't make time for. And like, legitimately, this isn't for Valentine's Day, but if I have like a partner that like cancels on me last minute and is like, oh, sorry, I can't make it, or like something happened and like we got to reschedule, like I'll just be like, okay, great. Now is the perfect time for me to reorganize my like t-shirt drawer and like clean that out, because I've been wanting to do that for like forever and I haven't done it yet. And then I feel productive and I'm focused on something. I'm doing something with my hands, so I'm like physically and mentally occupied by the task I'm doing. And then I'll like put something on that I like to watch. I've been watching a lot of like Red Letter Media lately. Oh my gosh, Red Letter Media, so funny. If you guys want a YouTube series that you can watch an infinite amount of that like never runs out seemingly, and then even because it's on in the background, you probably won't even notice too much if you like watch a rerun from before. The Red Letter Media Best of the Worst series is so good. It's so funny. And I love the ones where they watch like bad instructional videos. Those ones are my favorite. And I've been having them on in the background while I've been working, and they're really fun. I am also going to be doing for Patreon, not on Valentine's Day itself, because it is a Friday. So I probably won't be streaming next Friday, FYI, because it is the 14th. But I will be doing a live stream on either the 3rd. Yeah, I think I decided the 13th. I'm actually waiting. I'm trying to decide something. So I haven't actually announced it yet because I don't have a set date. But either on the 13th or the 16th, I will be doing a Patreon viewing of the new movie Baby Girl, which has Nicole Kidman in it, and it's like a sort of gender swapped secretary, kind of, I think is the vibe. Like, it's about a big, powerful boss lady and like an intern and their inappropriate workplace relationship where things happen, and it's supposed to be good. I think it's supposed to be good. So I'm excited about watching that. So we're gonna do that for Valentine's Day weekend. Fair enough. I can't do it. Sometimes my ADHD brain shuts down and I go overwhelmed and mad. Fair. Yeah. I think like, I mean, I don't know. Everyone's ADHD is different. But, you know, don't do something that, like, you don't enjoy doing. I'm just doing that because I like doing it. But if you prefer to do something else, whether it's, like, playing music or playing a video game or, like, I feel like most ADHD people I know, when they're, like, trying to maximum chill, they're, like, playing a video game and watching YouTube videos at the same time. I don't know. Maybe not for you. For all patrons, $1 and above, you can join us for our Baby Girl live stream. And then I will be doing a YouTube review of Baby Girl. And I'm very excited about it. I've been wanting to watch it for a minute. I'm so happy about movies. Recently, there's like the one, well, actually music's been pretty good too. It's like new musical artists that I've discovered recently who are really good. The world may be ending. Things may be catastrophically terrible in many different respects, but we will always have new music and new movies. Okay, I have the hiccups. I don't know. Hopefully it's not going to be too much of a problem. I swear to God, I don't ever get hiccups unless I'm live streaming. Is it because there's something I'm doing where I'm like not paying attention when I'm drinking and like it's messing up my diaphragm because I'm talking and drinking and then talking more and then breathing and like somehow I'm breathing wrong? What's happening? YouTube and Xbox, love it. I honestly am like that too. I will play a video game. If I have to do something boring in a video game that's like kind of grindy, I will just mute the video game and then I'll have a YouTube video on. I'll be listening to the YouTube video. And I feel like that's actually the best way to game if the game doesn't have like super engaging content that you're doing. It's fun. You just gave me the idea of suggesting Secretary for a Valentine's Day movie night. I was trying to think of a good romantic movie. Yes. I would even suggest, if you haven't seen it either, Love and Leashes is very cute. It's in Korean, so you can watch the dub or there's subtitles too. And that one's really good too. That one's very cutesy. And I feel like it's more like lighthearted. If you haven't seen Secretary yet, there is some like self-harm and like mental hospital content in it. And if for some reason that would be upsetting to you or the person you're watching it with, then I would maybe skip it. And Love and Leashes doesn't have any of that. So like the most you get is somebody feeling kind of shameful for wanting to be submissive. And that's about as deep as it goes. Because you have to have some level of conflict, right? Normal movie conflict, not self-harm content. For ADHD, if I need to keep my mind off of something, I like riding my stationary bike and watching TV. YouTube videos are a bit too plotless, so my mind wanders too much. Like watching Netflix, movies, and streaming, etc. Oh, yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah. YouTube videos, yeah, it depends on the video. Like, there's definitely some that are, like, really engaging, where it's, like if you're watching, I find, like, for example, like, H-Bomber Guy videos or, ContraPoints videos to be super engaging. Or, probably my favorite, actually, for that is Folding Ideas. I think are also really engaging too. So if one of those is on, I will be fully locked in. I've never listened to game audio. I only listen to punk and metal albums when gaming. I listen to a lot of clashes in tone, like playing Mario Sunshine to an entire Slipknot album. That actually sounds really funny. That would be like a funny like YouTube clip content idea. I watched Love and Leashes after hearing you suggested, and I loved it. I see what you mean about Secretary, but I think it would be fun for my partner. And oh yeah, totally go for it. I just feel like, because it's not something, it was a different era. We didn't have the same conversations about mental health as we do today. And especially because it's supposed to be a romantic date night movie, I feel like especially with that kind of content being in there, it's like a good warning, but y'all know yourselves the best. Yeah, the Flat Earth video is really good. I think probably, I don't know what my favorite folding ideas video, outside of the 50 Shades of Grey reviews, are the one where he tries to write, shitty book content to sell on Amazon Marketplace. I forget what that video is called, but it's really good. Ooh, travel vlogs. Ooh, yeah. Travel vlogs, documentaries. I love a good documentary. Not usually YouTubers, though. I don't really watch, like, YouTuber, like, documentaries. I sort of find offensive. Where'd my dog go? She retreated fully into the void. I think she's just, like, on her little pillow back there. Oh, yeah, there she is. Yeah. I haven't been able to move that blanket in, like, weeks. She's, like, claimed that as her new throne. I'm not allowed to move it. All right, more questions. When I lived in Oklahoma, I thought OkCupid was a dating app for Oklahomans. Now I live in Virginia and realize I was so naive. That's really funny. I don't know what other assumptions would be like that to make, but it's like, oh yeah, OkCupid. It's for people who live in Oklahoma. It's like, okay, date, yeah. And Plenty of Fish is a dating app only for people who work in the fishing industry. And The League is for people who play sports. Those are all real dating apps, and none of those reasons for their names are correct. FYI. Just in case you didn't get that. Yeah, I put up the link to the live stream a little bit later than I normally would. Ooh, how do you date as someone in my 30s? I started to live on my own. How do you date as someone in my 30s? I'm assuming you mean how do you date as someone in your 30s? How do you date as somebody in your 30s? I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. I think it's being initially, number one, clear with yourself and honest with yourself about what your goals and desires are. I think it can go both ways, where people sort of deny that they want a really serious long-term relationship and they want love and they're afraid of not getting it. So instead of being vulnerable to the risk of not getting that fulfilled, they just kind of go, oh, well, like, I don't really want that. I'm fine with, like, this other thing that's, like, more casual. But really, they only would be fulfilled with a more committed long-term relationship. And there's also people who will force themselves to do, like, hookup culture stuff and, you know, sleep around. And, like, that by itself I don't think is inherently wrong. But when you're doing it because you think you have to try it, or, like, because you should, because, oh, well, but girl, you just got out of this really super long-term relationship. You got to sow your wild oats. You got to play the field. You got to get while the getting's good. You got to get out there. And so there's, like, this external social pressure to experiment and, like, try new things while you can. And, like, if that's not for you, it's not for you. So be honest with yourself about what you want. If you want a long-term relationship, if you're looking for marriage and kids, if you don't want that at all ever, if you just want to, like, casually see what other people are up to, if you want to find a friend group, and that's, like, really what you're doing is, like, you know what, I would like to date, but what I really need is friends. You can just be honest about that, and I think people will respect that. And, you know, dating apps are very mentally fraught. They are very draining, and I know that as a woman, I certainly have the better end of the stick, but both ends of the stick are burning. So it's not really perfect no matter what kind of person you are in a dating app. And I think, you know, for me, my experience has mostly been negative in the sense of being totally overwhelmed by so many potential matches, but then none of them, like, being the right fit for me, and then feeling like, well, if I can go through, like, if 500 people will like me in, like, a week, but none of them mean anything, like, how do I know if anyone actually is into me at all? How do I know if anyone's actually, like, cares what I have to say about myself, or how I'm different, or, like, what I bring to the table in a relationship, if it's just a numbers game, if I'm just, like, a token? Like, that fucking sucks. But it is also shitty to be on a dating app as, like, especially a man trying to date women, and, like, not getting any responses at all, not getting any messages, not getting any first contact, not just getting attention in whatever form it is. And, like, that's also really rough too. So it can both be, it can be overwhelming, but not satisfying, right? Like, okay, like, you know, somebody who doesn't have enough food to eat is going to be like, well, you should be grateful because you have like a room full of potato chips. I'm like, well, I do have a room full of potato chips, but it's only potato chips and they're all expired. So like, yes, I could eat this, but it's not actually nutritious. I'm not actually getting anything out of this. And like, it's technically better than what you're dealing with, but it's not like I'm sitting here eating a 3-course meal either. So the point of me saying all that is to say that it's important to check in with yourself as you're going through the dating app experience and to take breaks. This is why I only tested each app for a week and then moved on, because I would say it takes about, if an app is not going well, you know, like basically instantly. And then by doing 2 or 3 days of that, you're like completely drained. Like when I was on Tinder, especially, I hated having to open the app. I hated having to look at it. I hated using it. I was like scared. It just made me upset. Like it made me feel frustrated that I could swipe for like 20 minutes and not see a single person that I felt any kind of potential for a connection with at all. Like it just made me feel like what I'm looking for isn't out there. Like I am not gonna like find the right sort of person through this. Like this, I just like, this feels hopeless. And other apps are better, but even then, if you're using an app for a long time, like there's only so many people in your local geographical area. So if you're always on the same app, even if you're only on it for like 10 minutes a day, you can swipe on like 50, 60 plus profiles easily in like 10 minutes if you're speeding along. If you're really reading the profiles, maybe less, but you know, most people are going relatively quickly with no's. They just have an instinctual feeling of no, and then they move on. And that can be draining because then you start being like, oh, well, there's like less people. This is less interesting. This is less exciting. And then you feel this sense of dread of I'm not going to find the right person. I'm running out of time. I'm running out of people. Like I'm at the bottom of the barrel, or I might be close to it, and that feels shitty. And when you get to that point, hopefully before you get to it, actually, you stop yourself and you take a break, and maybe you focus on your hobbies and your friends. Because I think it's fine. I think people get this idea that like focusing on dating is really bad. And in order to be a well-rounded person, you can't focus on dating like too much ever. You always have to be like preoccupied doing like 5 other things. I think it's fine to have concentrated, intentional time where like maybe for a month, you're like, okay, I am intentionally going to focus just on finding people to go on dates with and talking to people and establishing potential connections. And if it works out, great. But then at the end of the month, if I'm still looking at that point, I'm not gonna like delete the apps in like a rage or anything. I'm just gonna step away. I'm not gonna use it for a month or two, and then I'll come back later. And especially seasonally, I would probably like, if you're gonna use it, I'd use it. And this is like what I do personally. I'll use it in like after holiday season, in like early springtime. So like February, March, I'll look. And then I'll look in like the summertime. Like I'll look in like July, August. And that's like sort of what my habit has been. And that's like, that has worked out. That has worked out for me. If you're polyamorous, that sometimes means that you have anniversaries that cluster together. But you know, that's what happens sometimes. We can't help people. But even then, like being on dating apps, I'm about, of my last like 6 relationships, let's say. Well, actually, no, let's expand more. Let's do like last 10 relationships. Of my last 10 relationships, like 60% of them are from dating apps. And then like the other 40% is either from other websites or it's from just like meeting people in real life. So like meeting people in real life, especially if you're kinky and polyamorous, there's tons of options for that. It's harder when you're just a vanilla person who like plays in a rec soccer league and like works at some business company like downtown. Like you don't really have any hobbies that attract people of all different genders and orientations. You're just not going to be exposed to people that are in your potential dating pool. Whereas in kink and polyamory, I feel like you're much more likely to be exposed to that. I tried casual dating right after a long-term relationship breakup because of social pressure. 100% not for me. Hated dating apps. Knowing what you want and being true to yourself is so important. Yes, exactly. Never give up. Just celebrated our 30th year anniversary. Wow, that is a big one. Congratulations, Tracy. 30 years. Wow. Tinder has a credit score. Things like swiping consistently one direction lower your score. Oh, Oh, yeah, because they probably don't want people to just, like, speed through it. Just be like, yes, 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 because that's, like, the problem, right? Is everyone just goes, yes, 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 yes. Which is why, like, well, the reason I hate Tinder is because it's that terrifying. And I don't ever, like, the kinds of people who use Tinder, I feel like are not for me. And if they are the kind of person who is for me, I'll probably see them on one of the other apps. Like, gotta be honest. Yeah. I found meeting kinky people my age is difficult. In my area, they're all older. Well, yeah. I mean, it where your respective social group is going to be at very much depends on what age range you're in and like where you live. You know, if you're in a cosmopolitan major city, right? You're in New York, you're in Los Angeles. Even if you're in like Chicago, like, there's gonna be definitely lots of young people in the scene because there's like college towns near there, and also because young people work in the city and apartments and all that, being involved in the community. But if you're a little bit farther out, if you're in like the rural Midwest, if you're in like the Ozarks, if you're in West Virginia, wherever, it is going to be more likely that the people you're interacting with in the kink community there are going to be older because that's who has like time and the money to be able to access the community. Because if you're living in a podunk town in Ohio, then, you know, you might be working 2 jobs to make ends meet because they're both minimum wage. And that's what you can get as like a 22-year-old. So yeah, you're not really having time to go to BDSM parties because you're working your night job on the weekends. Yeah, it's rough. But if you want to meet younger people, you can definitely do that through Discord. Like, there's all kinds of local like Discord groups you can check out. I'm like reluctant to suggest like completely like meeting somebody through the internet or like dating through FetLife. But like I know people that meet people through like Reddit. Like people go to r/BDSM personals. People do all kinds of stuff to be able to meet people online that are a little bit younger. But it depends on what you're looking for too. I even know people that I've met on like Twitter, which is crazy to me, but it does happen. Not chatting with a match lowers your score too. Oh, interesting. I was absolutely terrified of Tinder also. Honestly, the fact that other people are also terrified by it is like reassuring. Because I'm like, maybe my experience was just really bad. But nope. Yeah. I really loved NC stuff too. Then I went through like a 6-month stint of finding his video stall, like 3 laughs throughout the entire stint, and then the drama dropped, so I cut ties. NC. Who's NC? Is that non-compete? What am I thinking of? Wait, am I thinking of somebody else? I'm lost. What YouTuber are we talking about, everyone? Oh, now I'm thinking of it, and now I can't remember. Never mind. You'll have to tell me. Oh, Nostalgia Critic. Thank you. Yeah, I never watched Nostalgia Critic. I never got into any of his videos. Thankfully, honestly, because he seems like he's a hot mess. It's nice you don't have to give up watching a YouTuber because they are problematic. Yeah, I missed that era of YouTube. I was definitely a little too young to appreciate it, I think. Then again, it's like, you know, things always exist in different pockets, so you never know. You never know what you're gonna get. Alrighty. Okay, let's get into some more questions. Boo, boo, boo. All right. Next question. Who's it gonna be? Who is the lucky winner? I feel like a carnival barker. Step right up to the plate. Who's gonna be the next big winner? I'm not good at doing voices, but I try. Alrighty. Da-da-da. My little dog doesn't like her chewed toys, but she does like to press the squeaker with her nose when she's playing. That is adorable. I love little dogs. I do. I like grew up like not liking little dogs because I was indoctrinated against them. But then when I became older, I was like, you know what? They are actually pretty cute, if I'm being honest with myself. Canada rules, speaking from personal experience. Yeah, Canada's pretty cool. Kind of expensive to live there, though, if you want to live anywhere that's, like, not the middle of fucking nowhere. Oh, okay. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about this, Deliria, because this was on my mind earlier today. Also, thank you. Steve says, I love the dating app video. It was so informative. You are very welcome. I'm glad that my suffering was educational. So any thoughts on, we've censored the word Kanye, but it's Kanye West, also known as Ye, also known as man who called himself a Nazi today, earlier on Twitter, called himself a Nazi. Any thoughts on Kanye and Bianca at the Grammy red carpet? I've seen some takes saying that unless she speaks out, we shouldn't assume that she's being coerced, isn't enjoying the exhibitionism. I personally don't like being a non-consenting voyeur when I'm just looking for red carpet fashion. Yeah. I mean, any situation like this is complicated because I think there is a difference between like privately speculating to yourself about like, I think something's going on there and like that makes me uncomfortable, and like going to a specific person and directly telling them like you are being abused and you must call yourself a victim and I will help you. Like that's what I have a problem with, is people like directly going up to somebody else and being like, oh, you poor baby, you're a victim and you're so brainwashed you don't even see it, and like when it could be perfectly consensual. Based on who Kanye West is and based on his dating history, I personally, my personal opinion is I do think that Kanye West is committing domestic violence against Bianca. And what is especially confusing about this is it's possible that she is like not like domestic violence, especially when it's like more emotional, like in the public eye like this versus like, you know, like some kind of like, well, to a certain extent, this is also like physical abuse, but like more traditional, like physical abuse, right? Like somebody throwing a bottle at your head. When it's more emotional like this, it can be really difficult because part of the abuse can be getting into a state of compliance where like you are maybe like not saying no, or you're going along with stuff that you like, if you had a free choice, you would not be saying yes to, but because you are afraid of perpetuating the abuse and making it worse and rocking the boat of your relationship and causing the person who's abusing you to act out and do something worse instead, you just go along with it. And that's actually something that abusers will use when trying to deny the fact that they are abusive, is they will say, well, you never told me no, or you didn't tell me I couldn't do it. And they're forgetting the times early in the relationship where you did try to say no and they conveniently didn't listen, or they pushed, or they may have listened to the no in the moment and then asked 10 more times, or they may have found some other way to get you to do something, or they may have compromised with you and got you to do something that was something you still didn't want to do, but because of the relationship threat involved, you went along with it or whatever. So like, I don't know if Bianca, like if we were to extract Bianca from this relationship and ask her in a year, what do you think about your relationship with Kanye? Was it abusive or not? How would you label it? I don't know what she would say. I think that Kanye's behavior is like not the behavior of a healthy partner. I think he's a deeply unwell person, and I find it extremely unlikely that he is capable of having a healthy relationship in his current state. And that's more what I judge it on versus like her saying something or not, is like looking at Kanye's other public behavior, looking at what he talks about, looking at his history in other relationships, I don't know. I don't know how to make like a good analogy for this, but like Kanye is such a deeply unwell person. Like I don't know if he's capable of being in a relationship that's fully healthy to begin with. But I don't know. It's a hard one. It's a hard one. And, I think like what I remember seeing is like people like being upset at Bianca for like wearing like a slutty outfit or like being like nude on the Grammy like red carpet or whatever, and the people turned it into a fucking meme. Like I saw a meme, like I don't like, people were like putting clothes on her as like a meme, and like I get that that's like kind of funny, but at the end of the day you're sort of like using what I think, well, and what a lot of people think is like a domestic violence victim for the content. And I find that like really bizarre, because it's one thing was like, you know, content's so vague, but like I think you can like seriously talk about issues of domestic violence using examples from celebrities in order to facilitate conversation about that. I think that's actually really important, but it's different when it's just like no critique, no thought, just I'm gonna like Photoshop some clothes onto Bianca and then like that's funny. Like I don't like think that that's like any better than like I don't know, I'm trying to think of like when people were doing the like TikTok like reaction shit to the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, when like people were like making like funny videos, like recreating the descriptions of abuse that were happening to be funny about it, like I don't think that was appropriate either. But yeah, I think you know, I think when people are saying, oh, we shouldn't assume that she's being coerced, blah blah blah, I mean, I think I don't know. I guess I don't. If you're having a personal one-on-one interaction, I think there is a difference about assuming somebody's being coerced versus a celebrity that you don't have a personal relationship with, who probably will like never see what you're saying about them or what you're speculating about. Like, I guess I don't see how that's any more or less harmful than speculating about like somebody cheating or a Hollywood marriage collapsing or somebody having a gambling addiction or something in Hollywood. Like, people speculate on celebrities all the time. I guess I don't see necessarily why that by itself should be a special exception, but talking about like cheating or alcoholism or divorce is not somehow exempt from that. And yeah, I do think that Bianca is probably being abused. I think people making light of it are very unfortunate. And if Bianca ever decides to come out or to leave the relationship and talk about what happened to her, you know, we will address that when that happens. And she could very well say to the public, everything's okay, stop speculating about me. She may have private thoughts that are different, especially because of who Kanye is and the way that he behaves. I actually don't know if we will ever get an honest answer from Bianca about how she views the relationship. Because like we have to remember, Kanye West like fucking stalked the Kardashians. Like, he tried so hard. He was with Kim, right? I think Kim, not Kourtney. I get them too many K's. I get them confused. I didn't watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, all right? But I do, like, he basically fucking stalked, like, Kim Kardashian and, like, sent an entire truckload of literal roses to her as an overt gesture of, like, trying to win her back. If you want to know what fucking love bombing is, or an attempt at love bombing, it's not bringing somebody a singular flower on, like, a second date, okay? It's after your ex has gone no contact with you, you send them an entire literal truckload of roses. That's a problem. You have given your ex a problem in the form of a gift, okay? That's bad. So I don't think, like, with Bianca being somebody who is far less powerful and far less prominent in the public eye and financially sound compared to the Kardashians, I don't know if we'll ever get her honest opinion about her relationship with Kanye, either because he is so threatening as a person that she probably wouldn't feel safe speaking out, or because she doesn't want to deal with the stigma of publicly being known as, like, the person who was abused by Kanye West after Kim Kardashian, who tried to impersonate her, right? You know, like, that's a whole other thing. It was really, really unfortunate, though. Which I feel like is underselling it, but that is part of it. Nobody's saying we want to be a victim, no matter the attention getting from it. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I say about when people are like, well, what if all these women lied? I'm like, well, like, I'd be relieved. Like, oh boy, a half dozen women didn't experience life-altering, mind-scarring abuse. Yay, good. Yeah, if they did lie, it would be bad, but I'd mostly be happy that, like, a bunch of people didn't experience horrific, scarring abuse. Like, okay. Like, I just have trouble getting super mad about that. I'm so confused about it, too, because he didn't want Kim to show skin. Here's my theory. Not being a psychologist, not knowing anything super deep about this, it's about what you can control. Even if it seems paradoxical because he wants something different between relationships, it's abuser brain. And what does abuser brain want? Control. Absolute control without boundaries, without limits, because that is how they feel safe and secure in a relationship, because that is how they're reassured of the fact that their partner won't leave them, because they have deep wounds where their attachment injuries manifest into becoming abusive. As one theory of why some people are abusive, at least. Not all the same, but that's one of the reasons why, is like deep, basically attachment paranoia that leads to bizarre behavior and desire for control above everything else in order to feel safe and secure in and of themselves, and just because they fucking like it and because it's entertaining to them and they're like people dancing around like puppets for them. He wanted to control access to Kim because Kim was already like sexy and famous and like all these things before they met, and he wanted to control access to her in the public eye because she was just going to be for him. Then when they broke up, he's dated people that he could dress up to make be more like Kim because he's trying to send a message to Kim, because he's trying to get the attention of his ex by making a mini-me replica of his ex that he's actually not really over. I don't think it's that Kanye has like a physical type and he's just like pursuing that, because he likes someone with very extreme bodies, and maybe it's like a public bimboification fetish thing. I don't fucking know. But like, there's just preferring a body type, and then there's like getting a woman to dress like your ex and like look more like her and change her appearance to be more like her, as opposed to just generally liking a certain aesthetic, which is the actual, I think, maybe point there to note. But his ex Julia called him abusive. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Julia, forget her last name. But yeah, I do remember that now. Yeah. But yeah, I think he basically wants to do whatever he can to do. Oh, I'm going to make you do the opposite of what you naturally want to do, right? So Kim, obviously her body is like a big part of why she's famous and continues to be famous, is because of the way that she looks, especially in that era when they were together. Like the photo shoots and the things that she was doing on social media were very focused on that. So obviously he wants to control access to it. But if he has a new woman that he wants to show off and make an ex jealous over, he's going to behave in the opposite way. Or maybe she originally wanted to dress more conservatively and show less. Well, then the hot thing to do is to make her do the opposite of that and control her by making her wear less clothing. I can't tell if you're saying a sane person won't want to be a victim, so they aren't lying, or only insane people are victims. Oh, no. Okay. Sorry, this is a problem with like YouTube live streams. When I'm saying something off the top of my head, answering a question, I don't always phrase things in the best way. It's definitely not the second one. I'll say that. It's definitely not that I think only insane people are victims, because that would be... why would anyone think that? Well, I know why, but I definitely do not think that. And hopefully that would be clear from my content. What I am saying is somebody would not lie about being a victim because it's so horrific and it's so humiliating to be in the public eye as a victim of especially another celebrity who is more powerful than you and has more money than you and has the ability to ruin your life and legally stalk you for the rest of the time that you're alive. Because if you have a couple $1 million, well, you can hire a private security firm with questionable morals to, I don't know, just check up on your ex every once in a while and just happen to have a route that drives by her house all the time just to see how she's doing and who's hanging out around her place. Yeah. It would be funny if we had like official intermissions. That would be cute. I'd be for that. I'd do it. Just press a little button, plays like a little. I would love to have one that has like my dog like bouncing after something or like running around in a circle after like a butterfly. Actually, I should find somebody maybe to commission for that, because actually it would be a really cute idea. As like a we'll be right back / like intermission screen. Just have like a little cute thing of Bandita running around chasing a butterfly. I think Bianca was willing to wear whatever he wanted at first, so he kept pushing the edge to the limit. Well, yeah, and I think there's also a point, like, again, the consent's complicated, right? She could have consented to certain things initially because she, like, really liked Kanye and, like, wanted to impress him, or, like, she wanted to experiment with it and see how it felt, or, like, felt interesting and cool. But if she now no longer has the option to be able to effectively say no and be listened to, that's when it crosses over to abuse. It doesn't matter that she said yes before. If she can't say no now, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I think sometimes people think that abuse is like only something that happens when you like scream no a million times and you physically fight the person off and you yell at them and you like you fight back really, really strongly up front. When most of the time, for a lot of people, like it's this insidious thing where you compromise and you say yes to things that like you're sort of not really okay with, but you go along with it, and then they compromise again and they just keep ratcheting it down until like your original line was here. And then you went to here, which was like a little uncomfortable, but not terrible. And now you're all the way down here. Now you're like, oh, fuck, I actually don't want to be doing any of this. But now I feel like I can't say no because my partner isn't a safe person to say no to. And if I do try to say no, there's repercussions for it. Yeah. I just watched your project on 2025, video on Project 2025. And it's crazy how much of what you said is happening in real time now. I'm a cursed prophet for the ages. What can I say? Oh. Mooncat actually has a song and screen for whenever she takes a bathroom break. That's hilarious. But also Mooncat's like a music producer and I can't make my own music. But that would be really fun now. Yeah, the goalpost is always moved. Exactly. It's this slow, that is what it means. Like people like, oh, like being abused is like being like a frog in a boiling pot of water. And usually what people take that to be a reference to is like the intensity of the abuse. Like it starts out with just like, when they're angry at something, they like slam their fist into a wall, but not near you. And then like at the bottom layer, they're like throwing stuff at you, they're screaming at you, they're waking you up to start fights. Like it's really, really intense. Or they like checking your phone, they're stalking you at work, whatever. And that's part of it too. But it's also a boiling pot in the sense of like your ability to say no is like really slowly removed. And the wildest part about this is like, and this is something that I've really learned, especially from covering all these like social media cases of abuse happening, people are talking about, and there's lawsuits and everything, is people expect abusers to sort of like know that they're bad guys. Like they're villains in a movie and they're kind of like self-aware, like, haha, I'm a bad guy and I'm going to get away with this thing. And look at me. But a lot of people that are abusers, that are in abusive relationships and like keep doing them as like a pattern in their lives, they don't know it. They like, maybe there could be an inkling. There's like a sense of maybe slight awareness of I am doing something that's like kind of wrong and I really shouldn't be doing it, but like I'm technically getting away with it. So I'm just going to keep doing it because my partner can't say no to me and I'm getting my needs met and that's most important to me. And the threat of like losing the attachment or being rejected or being embarrassed or humiliated is so threatening to them that they're like unable to change. And the thought kind of just glances off. It just goes, oh, I'm doing something wrong. No, I'm not. Here's why it's justified. Here's why they're actually the one abusing me. Here's why, like they're so incapable. And this is why narcissism and abuse like are correlate with each other. Like the clinical narcissism, not just people who like how they look or whatever, like clinical actual narcissism, is they're just so unable to perceive their own behavior as being bad because they see themselves as being good. They see their behavior as justified. And because of that, their behavior has to be good. They can't separate between doing good behavior and being a good person. So if they're good, their behavior has to be good, which means if any of their behavior is bad, they're a bad person. And a lot of people will experience this just in regular everyday life, right? Like when a partner tells you that they like, oh, like dinner, you ask them how dinner is because you cooked for them. And then they say, oh, like dinner was pretty good, but actually the chicken was too salty. And then they translate the chicken was too salty into you are a terrible cook and you should never cook for me ever again. I am disgusted and I think less of you. Like, no. We're not saying anything about you fundamentally as a person. The chicken was salty. That's it. Blocked off. But some people can't accept that. So they're so threatened by it that they just can't like fucking deal with it and hold it at all. Yeah. Victims always being validated and disbelieved. What they do is going to be the reason for people to say that's not abuse. Why they do is going to be the reason for people to say this is not abuse. Yeah, exactly. It's like people don't, in order to be believed in the broad public, you have to be so perfect and be in just like the exact right situation where like, it's a big age gap relationship and the guy's like, it's the older guy and he's like creepy and like not conventionally attractive. And he has like a long history of like weird relationships. And like the woman has to be like barely a woman and like have no life experience and like have gone to like a Christian school and have never had a relationship before. And then like the second any abuse happens, she has to flee immediately and then talk to the media about it. And like then that's sort of hard because like abuse is about like a pattern. And so if it's just a one-off thing, people are even going to dismiss that. So then she has to stay for at least a little bit of it for it to be established as a pattern to call it abusive in the public. And then that means, oh, well, why didn't you leave immediately? So that's the problem. That is the problem. Even if you are literally perfect, people are still going to pick at what you're doing. Oh, he like threw something at you once, so why didn't you leave immediately? And then if she does that, oh, well, like it only happened like one time. It might have just been like really angry. Like maybe it did something to piss him off. Like, like literally give me a break. Literally give people a break. Yeah, they don't have the emotional strength for self-reflection. Exactly. Yeah, it would be nice if the world was so cut and dry, if all abuse was overt and obvious. Unfortunately, it's subtle and covert and hard to explain. Yeah, exactly. It's like abuse is, and I've kind of been using like more direct examples, like I'm talking about throwing at things and yelling at people and starting fights and all that. But like, it's oftentimes like, it's really weird, like tiny things. Like that's why people, they read stories of abuse from, you know, I'm trying to think of something from like Marilyn Manson for like example, like, cause I've been reading more about that case recently, or maybe even just like Neil Gaiman, right? It's like, oh, well, like he got in a tub with her. Okay. Well, like, that's like kind of weird, but like, how is that like part of an abusive pattern? You have to sit and like think about it. Like, it's like weird little tiny stuff sometimes. Like, what's an example I can use that's like really generalized? It's like not related to a specific case. I guess, I don't know, like partners who like pick fights about like tiny stuff all the time. Like that by itself is not necessarily the sign that somebody's abusive, but it's part of an abusive relationship that can be part of the things that like wear somebody down mentally enough to not be able to leave too. Because it doesn't have to be just like big things all the time. A lot of really tiny things will like set your nervous system off so much that when it's happening, you just can't do anything about it because you're already so drained and so tired and you're already like feeling like garbage. So like when the next little thing adds on, it's just another weight. It's another stone in your pocket. And like one stone by itself is like pretty small. When there's hundreds of stones you're carrying around, and every single time you try to take one out to remove it, they get slapped back into your pocket again, even harder. You're like, fuck, I'm not going to try to unpack any of this shit at all. Like, it's really hard. It's really, really, really hard. Yeah. Yeah, they don't have the emotional strength for self-reflection. It is a sad thing, but that's, I think there are probably some abusers that are like cognitively aware of what they're doing and like can really internalize it. But then if they did, they wouldn't be abusers, right? Like if you had the empathy and the self-reflection necessary to understand that what you're doing is abuse, would you be abusive? Probably not, because you'd be like, oh, I should not be in a relationship. I'm fucking up. And usually if there is a moment where an abuser recognizes that they are committing abuse, they will be so overcome with guilt that they may take their own lives. They may suddenly break up. They may do some kind of very extreme thing to try and absolve themselves of that feeling. And hopefully the ending of that is that they get therapy and help and they stop doing that behavior, but it is unfortunately a very rare occurrence, and somebody like Kanye West, who is in the public spotlight, will not actually be able to manage that. Alrighty. Oh, my foot is like, I was like sitting weird and then my foot is like tingly. It's like hard to focus on stuff. We're talking about Kanye West. Too exciting to see Chapel Roan and Sabrina Carpenter win their first Grammys. And it was a good time. Good time for the LGBT girlies. Oh, and Billy. Also another LGBT girly. Taylor holding it down for the straights, I guess. God. I do love porcupines. They're very cute. They're kind of like Pomeranian shaped, but spiky. Honorary puppers. Porcupines are honorary puppers. I give them the seal of being an honorary pupper. Has Beyonce not won something before? Okay, I don't keep up with the Grammys that much. I thought, she won album of the year, record of the year. I don't know what the difference between those two are for Cowboy Carter, right? I thought she won for I thought she won something for Lemonade. But I don't keep up with Beyonce. I gotta be honest, I'm not really a Beyonce fan. And nothing wrong with her music. She has a beautiful voice. It's just not for me. Person I volunteered with guessed I was 22 a few weeks ago, which is very flattering to the point where I almost felt awkward telling her I'm going to be 36 in July. That is very funny. But also I wonder if it's people who are like 18 just think 22 is ancient. Like they're just like, oh, you're like 22. That's like, that's so weird. How could you be that old? Yeah. Yeah, Screw the Roses, Send Me Thorns is a good one. Oh, did somebody ask for, book recommendations? Oh, gosh. Bonnie, it really depends on what we're looking for. I do have linked below book recommendations. As a general starter, Screw the Roses, Send Me Thorns is a good one. It is a little bit antiquated. It's a little bit antiquated, let's say. If you want to be involved in the community, I would definitely get Playing Well with Others. That's a really good one. It's by Lee Harrington and Milena Williams-Haas. If you're looking at a power exchange, I would definitely look into Anton Fullman's books. They're very good. He's 2 books out currently. And then the old standby classics, which are the new topping and the new bottoming books, are also very good. And if you're looking at stuff for being a submissive, what is it called? Conquer Me by Casey Cunningham. That's also very good too. And that was a very short read as well. That's like an easy, not a beach read necessarily, but you could definitely read it in like a weekend. Very easy to get to. And also pretty cheap. None of these are like particularly expensive. You also get ebooks for most of them as well. I don't think Screw the Roses has an ebook edition, but a lot of the other ones do. Very happy. One of my girlfriends was trying to decipher if I had an ulterior motive with a meme and thought I was dancing around trying to tell her I loved her and insisted she wouldn't be tricked into telling me. Oh, that's funny. Well, that's why we got to have clear communication so we don't have these things. And if you build a relationship where you have a habit of clear communication, it can help. But if we've grown up in an environment where communication was never clear, I think that tendency is always going to be there to try to read between the lines. But you can't help by being a consistent communicator, which is something I really appreciate about my current relationships is like, you know, there's still things that people don't want to say, or, you know, there's conversations that sort of naturally are like, oh, there's like something else more that could be said, but we're not going there. But even then, it's like the things that are important that need to be said are said very directly, even though they can be vulnerable and scary. I'm 25 and having trouble trying to date for the first time. How do I get myself out there? Just fucking do it. Like, I don't like, it's like I think the reason I say that is because I think there's a preoccupation sometimes with doing things the right way, with doing, you know, the exact perfect, like there's a whole cottage industry, which is like a phrase I love saying. There's a whole cottage industry on YouTube and on like manosphere blogs of like how to get 100 likes on Tinder, how to get a match within your first 20 minutes of being, you know, how to get a date in 10 minutes of being on Tinder. You know, trying to figure out exactly the mathematically super correct way to like write a profile or what prompts to answer or what photos to pick. And I think if you don't know anything, it's helpful to have some of that as a groundwork level thing of like, oh, like how do people use this app? What kinds of photos do people generally like? What do they click on? And that's good. But it should not be like something you clinically obsess over all of the time. And you're like constantly tweaking and worrying about. And like essentially before you even get out into really dating, you're working so hard to make the exact perfect profile and get ready to do it that you never actually end up really doing it. Being imperfect in doing it is better than perfect and never done. Because perfect and never done is only theoretical and you're not actually really doing anything, are you? So get out there and do it. Which to me means like filling out a complete profile, saying some stuff about yourself that you think is important, being clear about what you're looking for from a relationship or from dating, you know, and being okay with rejection too. Like if you're really into somebody and you send them a super like or a rose or something, it'll get back to you. Like don't take it personally. Be aware that the first couple dates you're going to go, it's like anything else. You're just trying it out. Just new. Don't like, wait to go on a date with somebody that you like feel compatible with, you think you would have a good time with. But like, you're 25. If you haven't really dated before, it's okay to be like, hey, like I'm new at this and like I'm really excited about getting to meet you and like seeing where it goes. And like the right person is going to be like also excited about the fact they're kind of like introducing you to dating. And maybe it's because I'm older now. I think I would have felt the same way at 25, but also like, maybe that's just me. But like if somebody was like, oh, I'm like, I haven't been in the dating pool for a while, I've been really focused on my career or like kids or something. I like, if somebody was like really excited to talk to me, was enthusiastic about trying dating again with me, I'd be like, hell yeah, like let's fucking do it. Like I'm happy to be your training wheels. Let's go. Like I'd be cool with it. Not everyone is though. Nimrod says, a partner and myself just decided to move into a part-time DDLB, which is daddy dom little boy relationship. Can you point me to a good resource to start this right? Avoid mistakes that others have already made. Ooh, for DDLB specifically, that's a tough one. Because I'm less familiar with daddy dom little boy like content creators or relationships. Let me go to my YouTube subscriptions. There are some people who talk about this stuff, generally, but it's like a mommy dom little boy thing. There is, but this is definitely more on the ABDL side of things. But there's Diaper Perv, and they make lots of content about ABDL relationships, both like being in the community and like finding events, and also like being in that style of relationship itself. There's not any books I can really recommend to you. If somebody wrote, I need somebody who's like an expert in this to like write this book. I think the market could really use a BDSM relationship book that is focused on like CGL and ABDL relationships. That's very, very sorely needed. It would be very popular. The only ones that I know of are like kind of scammy, like Amazon ebook, like cash grabs. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend any of those. But that would be a good place to start, I think. I don't know if there's any other things that people would say in the chat that like are good resources. I would say like any sort of like general like BDSM relationship book or like communication book. I really like, there's a book called by Stella Harris. It's called Tongue Tied. That's a really good book about establishing strong communication upfront in a relationship. And like, it sounds cliche to say it, but genuinely, your relationship will be 10 times better. And actually, I was on a walk today and I was thinking about this for a video idea of like making a general video of like healthy, like my top tips for like building like healthy, happy relationships. Because there are things that I've like learned to do over the years that I think are like, now I just kind of do them automatically, but like I had to consciously choose to start doing them. And like a bit of it is like fighting like, no, I shouldn't give too much away. I should be like mysterious and whatever. And like a big part of that is like clearly communicating your desires, communicating your gratitude, and like being really direct about your fantasies, what you like, giving your partner information about yourself and disclosing things, because as I always say, we trust people who trust us first. And if you're going into that relationship as the LB, giving your daddy dom trust where it is earned, don't give them your fucking social security number and your credit card information. I'm not saying that, but like giving your partner trust with like desires that you have or things that you've experienced, things that are important to you, that will really, really strengthen a relationship and show I trust you, and allow them, when you go more, they're going to want to go more back. And this isn't in the like manipulative, like game playing kind of way. This is like, if you get stuck in relationships where neither one of you are willing to take the next step to go deeper, you're never going to go deeper. So somebody has to lead that dance. And in DS, it's normally not the D type. The D type may prompt the S type to be more vulnerable, but the S type can be more of that themselves, just on their own, lead by example. And actually, if you are a dom, do you want like, if you're like, oh, my submissive isn't being submissive towards me, like I don't understand how to like get them to like be more invested in this relationship, I don't get how to get them to obey more. Like if you've gotten past the like projection fantasy phase where your partner is just seeing like the fantasy version of you that they're like projecting onto, that they wish you were, if they know that you are a human being and a person, if you're in a long-term relationship with them and it's kind of like it's stalemated or there's tension there, like I actually do really think that it's a good idea as a dom, like, have you been emotionally walled off? Like, consider, have you emotionally been walled off? have you shared as much as you have received? How much does your partner know about you, your gratitude for them, how much you appreciate their relationship? Because if you are a dom and you are just passively receiving, and the only time you really like talk about your relationship or how much you think about the person is to be like, you're not doing enough, or I wish you were more submissive, or like this thing isn't working. Like if you're not adding in the positives and you're only ever communicating at length when there's negative things involved, like it's not going to work. You have to build in the vulnerability with pleasantness. You have to do it at times when it's like, here's a really descriptive, and I'm a very verbal person. So like, this can also, I talk about this in the sense of like communicating this verbally and like writing things out, voice notes, fucking emails, do whatever to communicate this. But if you're not a verbal person, you can do this physically. You can do this through like, preparing things for the person, like adapt to do this in the way that feels best to you. But some version of this where you're telling the person that like, hey, I really appreciate that you did this. This is why this meant so much to me. And here is just me reminding you of this. Because what you're doing is you're positively reinforcing that connection. You're positively reinforcing that person's behavior. You're showing gratitude. And you're not just talking when you have problems with something and then like keeping everything else in the back burner. I think that's really a problem that people run into is they coast when everything is going really well because it's easy to coast when things are going well. But they only really talk when things are going wrong. So that means that in-depth communication becomes an anxiety-inducing activity and is a break on the relationship as opposed to a stimulator. And it's about making those times of deeper connection stimulating and not just like, here's what you're doing wrong, and this is why this hurt me, and here's my airing of the grievances. If you only ever do airing of the grievances, you're not going to have a good relationship. Sorry. Anyways, I don't know why I rambled about that for so fucking long, but it is something that I am passionate about. Okay. Focus on me, camera. Thank you very much. I don't know why it doesn't. I gotta be like here, apparently. Okay. This camera. Jesus. I created an Excel spreadsheet to track dates and the red flags before. It was really helpful in retrospect, but I didn't follow the data. Got my feelings hurt. Yeah. Data is only as good as you use it. Yeah. If you're only using data as like a colorful creative exercise, like it's not going to help you. Yeah. You got to act on it. Yeah. I 100% agree. If he's not being submissive, that's on me. What am I doing or not doing that he needs to be vulnerable and submissive? Yeah, exactly. And I think that's like, I feel like it's really powerful when a dominant is like expressing like how much they like something in a partner or sharing a fantasy that they have. Like, oh my God, a dominant partner like sharing a fantasy with me is like, I want to fucking, let's tell me more. How do we make that happen? Like that you're giving them, you're putting the first bread, like big, you're putting the fucking chocolate at the beginning of the breadcrumb trail. That's what you're doing. You're seeding the experience of like, I'm going to give you something that's like really rewarding, really interesting that I know that you want to know about me. And it's something that we can build off of and hopefully will spark your curiosity, make you desire having like more of a connection with me, make you desire having a certain interaction with me. And like, I can't speak for all submissives, but like, I really like it when a D-type partner is like telling me about something that they want to do with me, because I often find that like a lot of D-types, they're not very good at, like, maybe not good at, but they just as a habit, they don't like express, like they will, there's this weird thing that happens where like they won't like share like what they want to do in advance of doing something. They don't want to talk about like their fantasies or ideas that they have, or like how it would be super hot if you would do this thing. They like, if you're in a DS relationship, a lot of doms, they won't do that part. They'll just be like, and today you're going to wear this outfit, you're going to do this for me. But there's no emotional context for that. There's been no build up. There's not been any, like, you've missed an opportunity for foreplay is essentially what's happened. Like, you can preamble all of that. You can build it up to be a bigger and more important experience if you have made it that way, right? Like, it's not, if you're watching a movie, it's not emotionally impactful if two characters have sex, if you don't know anything about them, if you've never seen them on screen before. But when you've had 2 hours to follow this relationship and see it grow, when it does finally happen, it means so much more. But if you are front-loading the things to an extent, and you're talking about, this is what I like, this is where it comes from, this is the history I have with it, this is when I've tried it before, this is when it's been really hot for me, you're talking about all of it, you're building it up, you're communicating it, and then it finally happens, then it's a lot deeper than just like, make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And to be clear, not everything has to be super deep and emotional. Sometimes things just are. And that's just because it's fun to make your partner do silly, wacky shit for you. And like, sometimes it's fun to just spontaneously be like, I want you to kiss my socks. Like, okay, fine. That doesn't have to have anything deep behind it. But when there are things, when that is happening, when there are things that you could do that have depth behind them, we're going to talk about it. Because if they're the right partner for you, if you're getting into a whole DS relationship based off of a very specific role play thing, hopefully they will be open to sharing with you things that they want, and they will be open to hearing those things from you. Anyways, I'm also just the kind of person who really likes deeply knowing people. So if you're not that kind of person, I don't know what to say. That's my advice for me in my brain. Interesting. I feel like as a caregiver / dominant, this is the opposite of what I ran into. I feel as if doms tend to go underappreciated in the CGL community. Oh yeah, for sure. I do think that it's not that doms are very appreciated. I think that doms actually, and all people on both sides of the / honestly, I think a lot of people get into DS relationships and into kink in general and don't really know how to treat their partners as full human beings, because in our society, we don't really know how to treat our partners as full human beings. This isn't even a kink issue. This is just what happens in adult relationships is we're sort of selfishly trying to get our needs met a lot of the time. And we just sort of think, oh, the other person's going to be satisfied because they're in a relationship with me. So they don't really appreciate it at all. And in being a submissive, it can feel awkward to show verbal appreciation unprompted for your partner if that's not something that's been established as desirable by your partner, which is also why you gotta talk about stuff. Because if you want your partner to affirm you and say nice things to you and call you cute names or whatever the fuck, you have to establish that as being okay to a lot of submissives, because oftentimes submissives don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to seem like they're topping from the bottom or infantilizing their partner or anything like that. So in order to not come across that way, they will not say anything at all. And you got to encourage that behavior if you want to see it ultimately. Oh, thank you, Sean. Sean has gifted 10 memberships in the chat. Thank you so much. I hope if somebody was waiting for a membership, they got one. Thank you, Sean. That is fantastic. By the way, YouTube membership is only 99 cents, and it allows you to use emotes in the chat because that is something that YouTube has behind a paywall, and it is fantastic. They are very cute. We have many, many very cute little Bandita stickers and stickers of me, and why not? It's a great tool. Emotes are cute, and just enjoy it. Thank you, Sean. Oh crap, I just accidentally booted myself to the bottom of the chat. Oh no, I just saw a question, I lost it. Screaming. Not gonna lie, y'all, I'm 10% thinking about the chat, and I'm 90% thinking about the fact that I'm gonna make nachos after this and fucking relax, because that video was intense. It was so intense that I missed the gym yesterday, and I don't miss the gym. I do not miss the gym. I had a rest day that was normally planned, and then I had a day off, and I feel like I'm going stir crazy. Oh, Julia Fox, thank you. That's who I was thinking of. Yeah. I totally agree with that. I will say my dating experience tends to be with women in their 20s. It's just how old I am. But in that group, the expectation seems to be subs don't have to do the work. Yeah. It's there is this idea that oh, well, because I'm an S-type, I'm doing this one specific kind of work. So therefore, you can't expect me to do anything else. And both partners should be pulling their weight equally in different ways, right? This is sort of, I feel fundamental to say this, but you want to be equally yoked. You want to be pulling the same way in a way that is additive and not taking anything away from, I don't know what I was going with that. I just totally lost my thought. But yeah, you don't want to be pulling in opposite directions, because that's going to be fruitless. And yes, if you are performing the service part of the relationship, if you are cleaning the house, if you're meal prepping, if you're doing other things for your partner, that is a thing that you're doing that is labor, that the the flip side of that, that's the effort that Dom is putting in, is they are planning that, they are providing supplies for that, they are managing your schedule, they are checking in with you, and they're showing gratitude for it. Yes, they are receiving a benefit, but they also are giving back in that too, ideally. But because submissives don't always have the practice of being on the opposite side of like showing gratitude because, well, my service should be gratitude enough or whatever, they just like don't know how to do it, which is really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. But it is something that can be learned, thankfully. So we're not all hopeless. We're not all hopeless. I would love to treat it Dom well. It's not all us 20-somethings. Oh yeah, no, but I don't mean all 20-somethings. First of all, I'm talking about all people. I think everyone, doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter anything else. I think generally people are not good at doing the risky thing, which is like telling a partner that like they're appreciated, or like not keeping a score on like who's doing how much work or whatever. Like it's hard to not, keep track of those things. It's hard to like say when something's really meaningful for you, because every single time you're doing that, you're like opening up this opportunity for somebody to like ridicule you, belittle you, minimize your emotions. Like it's like, I feel like I may be overselling it a little bit, but like it does take work to do that. There's a reason why people don't do it. And it's because they've also like probably historically been with people who act the same way as them. And so because both people are like doing the same stuff to each other, it like doesn't really seem like it's that big of a deal, because, well, it's just what people do in relationships. That's just what happens. I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense or if I'm just like totally loopy at this point. Oh, did last week's chat get deleted because I came out? Oh, God. Thank you for reminding me, actually. I did, there was something I needed to edit out very briefly, and because of that, I privated the video, but now I'm realizing I did not unprivate it. So, actually, I could probably do that right now, so it'll just show up. So I don't, I was like, I thought that I did that. I remember having the tab open on my computer. Well, I'll just go and do that right now. We'll just go and fix that. All right, let's go to lives. Let's actually make sure it is. Oh, it is still private. God damn it. Okay, well, here, it's public now. Here you go. Yeah, let me make sure the thing I needed, the clip, actually got saved. I don't know if it's actually going to load it or not, but anyways, there you go. It wasn't anything major. All right. Okay, white balance. Okay, white balance. What are we doing? Good video essays distract me too much from biking. Bad video essays and true crime, my other genre, are too boring. So I keep wanting to search for a better one. Happy medium is 30-minute scripted shows. There's a reason that format is very popular. Do you find paying for dating apps is worthwhile? They tell me I ran into people and give me a few new ones each day, so I'm hesitant to pay. I think if you're on an app where you're already running out of people, paying for the app is not necessarily going to solve that or like give you new people to look at. If I was monogamous and I just wanted to find a boyfriend and I wanted to get it done ASAP, I would pay for a month of like, if I found out like either Hinge or OkCupid, I would pay for a month premium for that. I like, especially so I could like see likes and like, do things like that. I like, and set more like specific parameters, I would pay for it. But because I'm using these apps like on and off kind of more continually because I'm polyamorous, I'm not going to like pay these apps thousands of dollars a year. Like, fuck off. No, I'm just going to use the free version. Screw you. Like that's how I feel about it. That's how I feel. So yes, I am. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it's worth it to pay for it unless you have a very specific reason to do it. Like you want to be on the apps for a very brief period of time. And definitely for men, if you're a man who dates women, paying for the apps can be beneficial, but like, if you need to use it to make the app usable at all, I would probably try to find an app that you like in general first and then start to pay for it. Or if you want to don't even necessarily pay for a subscription, but you could like pay for like a pack of like roses or super likes or something and just use those. not actually like have a recurring charge potentially. I wouldn't recommend most guys pay for these services, which is funny because like every man that I know that uses dating apps, like whenever they use it, they instantly pay for it. Like they only pay for like a month and then that's it and they stop using it. How do I ask a question? Is it through the chat? Yes, you just put it in the chat. Or if you want me to read it right away, which is probably the best thing to do because I only have 20 minutes left, is you can use a super chat, which you can either do directly through YouTube, pressing the $ in the chat, or you can go to the link down below and go to Streamlabs and go through there, and then it'll highlight it up here on the screen, and then it will read it out for you, and then I will get to it right away. But those are your options. I've been seeing so many interviews with the Vampire AMC series on my YouTube reel, and I'd love to see that it's in line with my kinks. But I can't find my subscription to a new streaming service. Yes, we live in an era of oppressive streaming services, unfortunately. All the good stuff's behind paywalls. Curious if you have any thoughts about bratty dominance or dominants who act like taunting brats as a part of the psychology of their domination. Well, let me tell you, I'm like 99% sure I have a video about this, St. Ridley. And I believe that a lot of doms are brats. And if you want a great example, look at Mr. Christopher for what's the safe word. Like, genuinely, I know he says he's not a brat, but if he was a brat, he would be a brilliant example of a brat who is also bratting from a dominant place. I know a lot of, especially sadistic dominants that are also quite bratty. I think they're perfectly valid and they definitely exist. And I think we don't call it bratting because we perceive bratting as being an inherently submissive and feminine thing as opposed to a behavior that anyone can exhibit. As a behavior, obviously as a label, if somebody just says as a label, I'm a brat, I'm going to assume that they're submissive. Usually if somebody is a brat of a different persuasion, they'll say I'm a brat and a switch, or I'm a brat and I'm a dom, or something like that. Oh crap, did I just close my YouTube? Where did it go? Where'd it go? I think I just closed my... Oh, no, we're good. Okay. I thought I just, like, closed my YouTube streaming thing. That would have been really bad. That would have not been a good way to end the stream at all. Gosh, I was, like, every single time I stream, I'm always like, I don't know if I want to stream. I'm sleepy. I want to eat nachos. And then I go on stream, and then I have a great time, and y'all ask so many amazing questions, and I'm so grateful that you hang out with me on these beautiful, beautiful Friday evenings that we have together. I'm going to try to we only have like 15 minutes left. Crap. How am I going to get to everything? Actually, I have a good question to ask. What do you do in a situation where a brat never stops bratting? Oh, never. Oh, interesting. I had a sub who expected me to legit chase her around the house and she never gave in. Oh, that's kind of, okay. So, this is a complicated one. There's sort of understanding what's happening there, and then there's like, what do you do in that scenario? What you do in that scenario is you sit down and you talk about it. And you say, hey, I love our relationship dynamic. I love your brattiness. You're so spirited. You're a great partner, blah, 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 positive stuff, etc. That's true. Obviously, don't lie about it. And I've noticed when we're playing together that it seems like you don't actually really want to give in, and I could push you farther, but that would either violate my limits or your limits, so I can't do anything about it. And then you have a conversation about what you want to do. Oh, we also have a super chat here from Tay Ray. What free and non-free BDSM apps do you recommend for submissive men to use? Well, there's not really a BDSM dating app. So if you're talking about a BDSM app in general, there's Obedience. There's a lot of people on Grindr, depending on what your persuasion is in that direction. And the best one that you can use for free for specifically kinky dating is probably going to be Field or OkCupid. But yes, for somebody who's bratting and going beyond like your stated boundaries, like you have to check in with them and be like, hey, so you're bratting and like you don't ever stop, and like I could up the intensity to like compel you to stop, but that would be violating your limits. So either we have to move your limits or you have to consciously reduce how much you're bratting or decide to give in. And then also talk about like, do you actually want to be able to give in? Do you actually want to be able to like submit to me in that way? Or are you after just the tease and the chase, and do you just want to stay in the chase phase? Because some people do just want to stay in that phase of like the fighting phase without ever actually progressing beyond that, which can be confusing if that's not what you're used to. And I would imagine, not knowing anything about the situation, that it could be that this person was like testing you and was like trying to see how far they could push you to go, and they actually liked the fact that they could like get their top to quit before they were ready to quit, and that actually was what they enjoyed playing with. That they were bratting, but in sort of an unconventional way where they didn't necessarily want to actually be like tamed. They just wanted to play in the being bratty space, because some people that are brats don't want to be tamed. They just want to brat, and like they like the fact that they can like out brat their dominance ability to be a dom, and they actually don't want to move their limits, and they don't want to like compromise on anything. They just want to keep being in that phase of play. It could also be that's where they like feel emotionally comfortable, and they could get to a point, if they were willing to move their limits, that they would actually break, and or alternative thing, maybe you weren't doing the right thing to get them to the place of stopping bratting. Like, if they're really hardcore masochist, you could use virtually any kind of pain and they're going to want to keep going, but it could have been something verbal, something emotional, something mental that was just a button that you weren't pushing on, that they were like silently hoping you would push on but never got to. But it's hard to say. It's hard to say without knowing the specifics of that relationship. But if you don't like that, you have to say something, right? If a partner's bratting at you too much and never ever stops, like, it's okay to say like, hey, like, I like that you are so bratty, but like, I need to know that things will stop eventually because I need that. And like, at the end of the day, that's a sign of incompatibility, and that's why you're not together. And there may be somebody who's like, I hate this because I feel like some brats are like, I need somebody who's dumb enough to be able to tame me. And it's like, okay, well, first of all, if I could have the fucking like buzz clippers and like aluminum baseball bat, like there's gonna like, if I start breaking kneecaps and like shaving people's heads and eyebrows, like people are gonna find out how to submit real quickly. Like if you have no limits, like, all right, we're gonna get out a ghost pepper, some iron manacles, several stems of ginger, a pair of barber clippers, and an aluminum baseball bat, and we're gonna combine those in a way to where you're gonna be really sorry about the fact that you ever decided that you could say that like I can out dom any dom. All right, like. Oh gosh, yeah. Not to do any of those things. Those are not ideas. Please don't break kneecaps. Oh my god. But with no limits, the sky is the only limit that you really have. You could just say, hey, I just met you and this is crazy, but we need to have a talk about your bratting, so call me maybe. Yeah, exactly. Works every time. Yeah, it gave up very testing vibes, but there was very little communication around it, and it sounds like that's the problem. I would try to talk about it, and she would skirt around the conversations. He definitely wanted me to give in. Yeah, it sounds like, okay, there are definitely, especially women that pursue men, and I don't know what's happening here, but there are a lot of straight women that are uncomfortable with the idea that they are in any way dominant or sadistic. And in order to cope with the fact that they have those desires that are inappropriate for their gender role, that the roles, the sexual role they're supposed to play based on their gender and their sexual orientation, they try to push that into a label that is more acceptable for their gender to perform. And that can mean that as a brat, they sort of do this thing where actually they are actually legitimately topping from the bottom because they actually want to be fully in control of the scenario. They want to break you. That is being dominant. That is being the one in control of what's happening in the scene. And it's a very unusual way, compared to what's typical, for dominance to happen. But that is a way of doing that. And I think that's why some people do it, is they actually like the idea of like breaking their partner. And they can't express that in a way that feels appropriate to their femininity. And so they deny it and they don't want to talk about it. And hopefully at some point that person will have a come to Jesus moment and they will introspect and be like, maybe I'm actually kind of dominant, or I'm at least kind of a switch. And maybe I should talk to my partners about how I want to do this scene where I fight back against them and then I actually win. Because that's not, like, in my mind, if you're fighting back against somebody and then winning, that's not bratting. That's a contest of wills, where the odds are stacked in the opposite direction. Because I think within bratting, if you're not specifying, like, oh, I'm a bratty top or a bratty dom or something, if you're just talking about bratting does kind of, I think, mean that you either want to stay in the fighting phase, or you, more likely than not, most of the time, want to eventually be overcome. That's really the thing. At the end of the day. I paid for a dating app geared specifically to my niche kink for around a year and didn't find it worth the cost. Met my fiance at work. She's vanilla. It's all get up, but we're going to make it work. Hey, congratulations on your engagement. I hope it does work. I mean, really, don't make me break out the cargo net. And also, all you need is a 2-inch hardwood dowel to make things miserable for somebody. Well, if you're dealing with a physical masochist, not everyone's going to be into cold caning on their genitals, but some people are. So you can't use that as the only tool in the toolbook. That's definitely an interesting perspective. I hadn't thought of it that way. That's quite insightful. Well, you're very welcome. I do this for my job, so I have a lot of time to sit and think about this. But genuinely, I do think that really happens to a lot of people. And there are a lot of doms that, like femdoms specifically, that will talk about how they originally tried to be submissive at one point, but it didn't fucking work, and that's why. It's because they're not really submissive at all. If you're not submissive, it's not going to work. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't highlight what's the point of being a member when I've posted several things and not a single one was addressed. Well, I can't see your comment history, Joe, so I'm not sure what it is I haven't answered yet, but can I actually, is there like a toggle? I wish YouTube actually did do like a toggling. Can I just see? Oh, I actually can't. I can only look at the live chat, and then when people send like super stickers and like gifting and stuff like that. So I genuinely, like, I've said what the membership is for. The membership is for emotes. I unfortunately don't have the ability on YouTube to like do a membership highlight thing where only like I only see messages from members. I'm not intentionally trying to miss anybody, but I am sorry. Oh, but it's also only 99 cents. So, I'm doing what I can, I can't go back in time. And also YouTube chat just doesn't have the features and functionality that like Twitch does. I don't know. I don't see anything that like, I don't see anything. Anyways. Apparently, I remember this earlier, but I didn't get to it. I'm not very good at noticing when somebody flirts with me. Can you recommend any resources for flirting, especially detecting if you're flirted with? Fuck if I know. I'm really sorry, but I'm also very bad at the blind leading the blind. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't use that phrase. I don't think that's like particularly nice to say. But I don't know how to tell. I don't know any specific resources. The only thing that really helped me is I did take classes on flirting. Well, not just flirting was dirty talks. Actually, that didn't help me at all. The only thing that's ever helped me understand flirting more is asking the person, which sounds extremely neurodivergent to do. And it kind of is, but like, what are you going to do? If you don't know, you don't know. Is just when you think somebody could be flirting with you, you just ask, like, are you trying to flirt with me? And like, you can do it in a way that's playful. You don't have to be like, are you flirting with me? This is an interrogation. Like, you can say it in a way that's like fun, is kind of in a flirty tone back. And then Like, if they're really like, no, I would never do that. If they're like really sarcastic and they still say no, then they're flirting with you. If they say yes, then they're flirting with you. And if they're like, oh, no, I wasn't doing that at all. If they're really taken aback and like, no, absolutely not, I was just trying to be funny, then you know that they're not flirting with you. And you just guess and check, like, as many times as it takes for you to start to develop a sense of like, oh, this is a key to when this person is flirting with me. But it's really hard to tell because everyone has their own style of doing it. And I don't flirt with people unless I'm in a relationship. And even then, my flirting is normally kind of like teasing people and like calling back references, which I'm not sure is like typical. So I don't know. I asked my partner to turn his phone on silent when he gets up before me, and one morning asked him to take something out of the freezer for me. He took it out, but first text back, how could I, when my partner asked me to put my phone on silent? And then he denied being bratty because he's my dominant. Can you believe the audacity? Wow. I'm one of those people, though. I fucking hate it if I'm by somebody and their phone makes if your phone makes a little like... It makes a little like noise whenever you type a letter. I fucking hate that. Why do you do that? That has to be turned off. I actually don't like it when my phone is totally silent. The only thing I get a notification for that's a noise is my alarm and phone calls. Everything else is muted. No, I don't want anything turning on my phone screen. I don't want any pop-ups. I want minimum phone engagement because everything else is just more of a dopamine addiction. So I get that. I hate when there's noises. It's very distracting. Very distracting. It's all about how you enunciate. Think of a suave man saying, yeah, think of like a Marlon Brando type being like, are you trying to flirt with me, young lady? Yeah. Like, I don't know if there's like a good movie reference. I don't know enough flirty movies that have a good example of that, but yeah. No, it's so satisfying when it buzzes as you press a button. Not for me. Listen. Do what you want. Controversial opinion. I'm very annoyed by it. That was like my favorite thing on smartphones when I first got one, was like I could turn off the fucking noise when I was typing. You think I notice enough to wonder if they're flirting with me? I am flattered. Okay, well, if you have no idea and you consider all things possibly to not be flirting, I don't know. I don't have a good resource for you. I should find one because that is a common question, but I don't have any right now. My phone's usually silent too, unless I'm expecting something. Yeah, I only turn it on. I have like certain people who can like reach me. They get like a pop-up notification. Everyone else, sorry, you're waiting. If you need to make a phone call, it'll ring, which is why I tell everyone in my life, if you need to contact me and it's important, call me. Because unless I'm looking at my phone at the exact time of day, which normally if I'm working on my computer, my phone is like face down. I'm not looking at it because otherwise I will like check Instagram and I'll like look at things and I'll get distracted and I can't do that. How long is a memory? Forgot about paying for ringtones. Oh yeah, that was a thing. Now we just like put whole songs as ringtones when we feel like it. All right, I'm gonna try to get to one more question here. One more question. Who will the lucky person be? Who will be the lucky final question of the evening? My question is that if I'm in a CGL relationship, doesn't the caregiver have to be, oh no, nothing is ever have to be referred to as daddy, except for consent. Consent is a have to. Referred to as daddy, or is there any other nicknames to the caregiver besides daddy? Oh, there are so many nicknames. There's so many nicknames. It can be anything you want, right? A caregiver is just a role that can take on many different forms, right? Because the parents are the only people who take care of people, right? A caregiver, they could be like a daddy, a mommy, a babysitter, a wet nurse, a nanny. I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it opar? I think it's opar. I'm pretty confident about that one. It could be an au pair, could be a teacher. What else could it be? Could be like even like an older sibling, maybe, if that's the direction you want to go. It's more of a specific type of role play, but that is an option too. I think, did I say babysitter yet? Could be a babysitter. Could be a coach. could be some kind of medical professional. We're getting onto like the medical professional stuff. That's kind of like unusual for a CGL relationship, but certainly any kind of like family member, different parents, aunts, uncles, siblings, like older siblings. Those are fairly common roles. And then, teacher, nanny, babysitter, those things too. So you could call your partner whatever you want. Could be daddy, could be any derivative of daddy that you like. Could just be caregiver. There's a difference between like the title that they go by and then like the nickname you call them like intimately. So like maybe you don't want to call them like daddy intimately, but you're fine with that being their title, for example. So it depends. But I don't know if anyone else has any that they really enjoy using, but that is a good question. Because yeah, you can just be anything that you want, which I know it's not helpful because that's like not very specific, but it doesn't have to just be daddy by any means. Because caregiver little is also like gender neutral. It's non-specific. A caregiver could also be a mommy. A caregiver could also be like a non-gendered person. Yeah. Au pair? Not au par. Au pair. Okay. Au pair. Au pair, not apple. These are the jokes, people. These are the jokes. My CG's honorific is sire. Ooh, I love that one. That's a good one. Underutilized. What happened at the beginning of the stream? Did something happen at the beginning of the stream? I don't think anything happened. I just talked about stuff. Talked about my dog. Talked about my dog and Kanye West. The typing out the pair. What does the upside down R mean? I don't know. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I'm not good at stuff. My problem is I read things like 10 years before I ever say them out loud. And by that point, my original in-brain way of pronouncing it is so set in stone that it's extremely difficult for me to change it. This is a massive flaw that I have as a person, and I genuinely struggle to be able to change it. So I'm sorry. I don't know why. I hope people aren't mad at me for like not doing the stream announcement. I was busy publishing a video and then I had to take a shower. What do you want from me? Like, I was doing stuff today. I'm sorry. Where's the bumper? In the shadows. You can technically see a little bit of her. I guess it's the end of the stream. I can just turn on the lights here briefly. I don't know whether that light is on. There we go. Can you see her now? She's very snoogled. She loves that blanket. It's her favorite. Now you know. With that being said, that is the end of the stream. Thank you all so much for being here with me on this beautiful Friday evening. It has been a fantastic time, and I hope you all have an amazing weekend. Stay safe out there. If you didn't catch last week's stream, it is now public as well if you want to go watch that, if you somehow need more content from me in your Friday evening. But stay safe, have fun, drink some water this weekend, get outside, get some sunshine maybe if it's nice weather where you're at. And I'll talk to you all again very soon. Bye!